And welcome to an edition of the We Talk Chelsea podcast. Three Sunday League football playing friends united for a love of Chelsea Football Club. And that's the first time I've nailed that intro in, I want to say, months. Chaps, welcome. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And what a happy New Year it's been for Chelsea fans. So far, so good over the festive period. We'll ignore the one trip that Charlie and I took the Wolves against where we come up short. We'll just disregard that completely. And we'll look at the last couple of games. Chaps, how have you been over this festive period?
I mean, it's a bit of a funny one, isn't it? We're sort of in a lot of inconsistency, a lot of questions, probably more questions than answers. But in terms of points on the board, which is what we wanted, we seem to be getting the points on the board, which is a good thing. Tim.
Yeah, I think just a bit of a break, obviously from the pod as well, has probably helped us just rejuvenate a little bit. You know, it's busy time over the festive period, and especially Chelsea's. You know, we've actually got a couple of wins under the belt, which was very good. All apart from the Wolves game, I think things are starting to look okay now.
We shall see. Yeah, we are live on YouTube at youtube.com/WeTalkChelsea. Live also on TKS TV. So let's dive straight into this. Where should we start? Should we start with the game? Should we start with who we're rumoured with? What do you think is the best course of action, chaps?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe the Luton game. Let's see, what you guys thought of that one, reflections on that one, and then maybe go from there.
All right, no trouble. Okay, so let's talk about the Chelsea-Luton game. Chelsea managed to get an away victory for the first time, it feels like, in years. Probably not years, let's face it. Was Burnley the last time we won away back in September time?
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a good question.
This isn't a trivia. I can't remember. It's
Tottenham.
been that long.
Tottenham. It would have been Tottenham.
Oh, yeah, but we won 4-1, but it doesn't count because, against 9 men. But, it's the first time we won away from home against 11 men. And it was a bit, wasn't entirely convincing, was it, Temba? I think the scoreline, when I was looking at it, full disclosure, I couldn't watch the game. It was my daughter's second birthday, so I couldn't watch it at all. So I had to go based purely on highlights. But when I looked at, FootMob and what we're seeing, it looks like it was Chelsea's third goal was initially against the run of play when it comes to Luton. Then for the last 20 minutes, it looked like we were completely under the cosh, wasn't it? It wasn't an entirely convincing performance against the Premier League newcomers Luton, was it?
No, and even when we went to 2 or 3 up, you still felt like Luton could get back into the game just purely because of the amount of set pieces we kept giving away. I think that was pretty evident throughout the game that we just couldn't stop them either aerially or just getting balls into the box. I think at every possible option we tried to foul them, but the problem is where we gave those fouls away were from good positions for them to get the ball in the box. And I'm not sure how many crosses they put in, but it surely must have been over like 30 balls the entire game, because Thiago Silva made 12 clearances that game. So yeah, I think the running theme of this season, I'd say, is our set plays and defending tactical set pieces or even open play set crosses. We've just been terrible at. So it's something I'd like to see us work on if we can.
Yeah, Charlie, it wasn't entirely convincing, albeit a good performance by Cole Palmer. I mean, based across the festive period from what you've seen so far, we'll take the Wolves game out of that, because I think you and I were stood next to each other for that game, and the amount of times we turned to each other is like, this is dreadful. This is absolutely dreadful. What are your thoughts on the back of that Luton game? Was it entirely? Did you see signs of improvement since that game?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be positive, haven't you? We've won a game, but it's just the manner in which we win. It would have been nice, wouldn't it, if we'd have gone away from that 3-0 and left the pitch at 3-0. That would have been really nice. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it would be really nice to have left the pitch at 3-0, but it was just the way that we ended that match, the way that we were hanging on. And let's be frank, I mean, there was, it could have been 3-3 or even 4-3 quite easily in that last 15 minutes. We're really holding on. So, yeah, it's just the manner in the victories. we've chalked some points on the board, but we're not winning convincingly, and that's the next thing. But look, we're winning. That's the main thing, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at your team itself, so the key thing on this one is the re-emergence of form of Cole Palmer, or is it the suddenly, the invitation back from Pochettino bringing Noni Madueke, a different option there? Sterling wasn't available for the Palace game due to his suspension, as well as Cole Palmer. It looked like Sterling wasn't particularly missed even on this game against Luton. It looks like Madueke is finding some sort of form off the back of his disciplinary issues earlier in the season. Could you see Madueke going on a run within the side, potentially against Preston as well as in the semi final next week?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit strange how long he'd been left out the squad. I was hoping they would actually get some game time. I know he's also been injured, so that's probably why. But it was good to see him back in the team, and I think he proved it that he sort of still got a spot to get back in here. I think we've seen Mudryk been given a chance. We've seen Sterling been given a chance. Cole Palmer. I think Madueke's been the unlucky one where he hasn't got so many minutes this season, and he kind of stepped up and showed why he should be playing. Yeah, like I say, he had two defenders to beat for his goal, and he managed to squeeze off a shot with his weak foot and get it top corner. And I think it was just what we needed, because a lot of times this season, although we haven't been in a losing position, we haven't been in a position where we felt comfortable going in at half time with a 2-0 lead.
Yeah.
So I think it was crucial for him to get that goal and for his confidence to just show that, the transfer window is back open now. There still is time for him to get some games, or if he's not going to get some games, at least it's a chance to show the clubs what he's made of, really.
Yeah, it's a kind of tricky situation, isn't it, Charlie? Because you we're not controlling the game. You'd expect Chelsea to control a game at Luton, albeit Kenilworth Road is being a difficult place for teams to go to. But you look at the momentum here on this side of things as well. Are we showing a sign of a more clinical? Can you is the positive spin on this that it's looking at a more clinical in that scenario? If you look down on the stats here, the momentum fully in the favour of Luton here, minus those 2 goals at the end there, with it's heavily rooted in their favour. But 8 shots on target and only 1 big chance that we've had. There's definitely an air of no big chances missed, which is what we were top of the pile for. I think it was like 46 big chances missed across the season so far in the Premier League alone. Is this something that we can focus on, or can we be positive in that aspect? Or are we still we're still worried at the fact that we are, can't control the game really? We can either control the game or score goals. It's a weird situation, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I think it was it was a good away performance until the last 10 to 15 minutes. It was pretty good up to that point. Not just based on the goals, but based on the way that we managed the game. Yes, we gave away corners, set plays, but I thought the goalkeeper handled himself very well. We handled ourselves very well defensively, I thought. And obviously we took our chances very well on the break. I think up to that point, but it's just that element of doubt, isn't it? It's like anything, they've got that 1% where they're just they don't quite believe it. And we needed that to get over the line. I think that was really important to get over the line. That 3-2, hopefully that will progress.
Yeah, it's interesting to think, especially over this festive period. I'm quite keen to know if you, Charlie, and you, Temba, like the players that have kind of shone for you. I mean, obviously we touched upon Noni Madueke, but for me personally, a player that really stood out for me was Mali Gusto against Crystal Palace on the 27th of December. I thought he was absolutely exceptional, Temba, and I think he definitely looked like the value for money and the investment that we put into him to be, considered a backup to James. And from what I saw in that game, he could potentially be somebody that could usurp James. Is that something you agree with, disagree with?
Yeah, I think it says it all. He's a young, promising player, and he decided to come to Chelsea at the end of the day when he knew Reece James was his opponent, let's say, in the same position. And there was an interview he did earlier this season where he pretty much said, me and Reece James know the score. We're battling for this position. It's not a thing of I'm his understudy. I'm here to, get in the first team. And he's shown exactly why I suppose we bought him. And if Reece James is going to be out long term, he's not a bad backup or even a first team starter to have, because he's been excellent defensively and offensively. Thought against Luton he could have done a bit better to stop some crosses coming in, but however, going forward and supporting his winger, he's been very good at left back and right back. Let's add to that. So yeah, I think value for money wise, he looks excellent.
And it's not just Mali Gusto that's potentially an option there at right back. It's looking like the what are they? The supporting appearances there, the kind of cameo appearances from the young Alfie Gilchrist as well, looking like a young John Terry, debuting in the late 90s with his skinhead coming into play. He definitely looks like someone that Charlie exudes kind of passion in a Chelsea shirt. I think that's exactly the type of player that you're looking for, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when he comes on, I know it's obviously, like you say, it's cameo appearances and things like that. And I know it's just a point here and a point there and this sort of stuff. But he just looks interested. He's got desire. He's got aggression, testosterone. That's kind of what we need. Let's see how he progresses. We haven't seen enough of him, obviously. It's 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. But apparently, John Terry rates him, doesn't he, very highly. And from what I've seen, he looks like a leader, a born leader. So look, fingers crossed. It's early days,
I mean, who's kind of shone for you, Charlie, in these last 3 games? I mean, in the Wolves game, I don't think there's anybody that particularly shone. I guess Nkunku scoring his first Chelsea goal is probably the only major highlight of it. But who particularly stood out, and who do you think's kind of become a bit pedestrian, a bit passenger in this Chelsea team?
I mean, it's the usual suspects. I think Gallagher looks like we're relying very heavily on him. We're relying very heavily on Silva, but I would say the goalkeeper, in my opinion, has made a really good impression in the last few games. He's been tested big time against Luton. It's a hard game, and he made some cracking saves and had the confidence to catch the ball, that sort of stuff. I think when Sanchez comes back, I think there's a real question to be had, as to who is the number one.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Agree.
I think he's kind of he's slotted in well, hasn't he, Tim?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what Brad Friedel mentioned, saying that he could go on to be one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I don't think that's an understatement, because no, I know people may laugh, but he is genuinely a brilliant shot stopper, and I think he's more of your traditional style of keeper. He's not your modern day keeper. He's more of your sort of Oblak, De Gea type of keeper, a Courtois, who's a goalkeeper first, and then maybe isn't the greatest on their feet, because we see Allison and Edison, and also maybe Sanchez. They're sort of ball players first, and also, well, the other two are brilliant keepers. Let's not put Sanchez in the same discussion, but you know what I mean, where their ball playing ability is one of their main assets. And Onana's another example of why teams want to have goalkeepers like that. But I think he's very much your traditional style of goalkeeper. You can see when we're trying to play the ball out, if he doesn't see an obvious pass, he'll just hit it long. And it's something I think we sometimes need, because I think with the way we try to build up from the back, I don't think the players quite know what they're doing. Often we box ourselves in when we're trying to play out from the back, and we don't have an outlet ball, which was something I wanted to mention later on. And I think Petrovic just helps that slightly with just kicking it long, because and I don't know about you guys, but every time Sanchez has the ball, it's always like my heart and mouth sort of moment. You're waiting for him to pass it to the opposition. But I think that's also managers' tactics, not just Sanchez.
Yeah.
I think like I say, he's just been brilliant. I think Petrovic, and hopefully he'll keep his place, because I think he's more of a safe pair of hands than Sanchez.
Do we know how long Sanchez is suspected to be out for? Is it at least a few more weeks? Or
due back soon? It might be the next game. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
there'll be a decision. Yeah, that has to be made. But I think with Petrovic as well, the other thing is, if you watch him when he takes the ball, and when he has the decision to be made, do I go short? Do I go long? He understands the game. He understands that he's got very good game management. He's got sort of a brain, if you like, and that's what we needed. We've needed, at the back, not just someone who's just going to, be drilled in. You need someone who's actually got a brain at the back, and he seems to have that.
Interesting comment here from Michael. We should go for a number 9 on loan in January. Then summer we should go for Osihmen. I think the rumours at the moment that we are in discussions with Osihmen. I think that it's going to be difficult to do because I don't think Napoli are willing to do anything before the summer. It begs the question though, but who do you bring in? I don't know if you guys remember, but there's been Chelsea that have brought in number 9s previously in the middle of the season on loan, and it hasn't gone particularly well. Alexandra Pato being one of them.
Was he in the summer?
He was in the summer. He was with us for a whole year. I'm fairly certain it was a whole year. Please feel free to keep me honest. But let's just go through Michael Oniesi's comment here. If there's a player realistically that you could bring in on loan, and feel free, Michael, to put in the chat as well, who do you think is there anybody that springs to mind from the two of you that's realistically could be brought in on loan to Chelsea to kind of feel as a makeshift gap? Because Nicholas Jackson's off to AFCON, and if Senegal goes to the final, which is very, very likely they could do so, he could be gone for over a month, leaving just Nkunku essentially in that position.
I couldn't name you off the top of my head, but I do agree with him that whilst Jackson's away, it will be. I'm not the biggest fan of Nicholas Jackson. However, do I think Broja's up for it? No. I think we do lose a lot with Jackson. Although, like I say, he may not be prolific in front of goal. The small things he does occupy the centre backs. He does drop in the half spaces sometimes, and helps with our link up play, as you saw with that Palmer goal. He does things like that sometimes go unnoticed because he's so frustrating in front of goal. But problem is with Broja, he often doesn't even get into those positions to get shots off, or he falls over or misses the ball or things like that. So I think the need for a centre forward is there. Who is it? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's we're going to get Ivan Toney on loan, Charlie. But do you think the club need to go and buy a striker in this window, or do they need to kind of stick with what we have for now and then entertain looking at it properly in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's just what do you do with what are the ambitions for the rest of the season? I think we have to look at it like that. Are we going to get top 4? Definitely not. I think we all know that. Are we going to get into Europe? Maybe, but we'd have a lot of things have to go our way. So what's the plan for the rest of the season? What is the ambition? And when you know what the ambition is, then you know what you need to buy. We don't. There's, in my opinion, there's absolutely no point in buying £100 million striker in January. I just don't see the point because
it's gone well for us previously. Fernando Torres being one of them.
Well, he wasn't 100 million. I understand. I know your point.
What I mean.
Yeah, I know your point. Yeah, but I don't see the point of doing that. I think a loan is actually probably the sensible move, but it's who do you get on loan, who's available. I mean, I don't know. In all honesty, I literally
can't think and spring to mind who.
Ronaldo, I was hearing was today. Someone said Ronaldo.
Do you know what?
I would take him. Yeah, I would.
I would 1,000,000% take him on a 6-month loan because I think it would be funny. I don't think he'd do it, but I think it would be funny. Maybe he wants to do it. I don't know. I don't know when the Saudi League, when it runs to and when it finishes. I don't know too much about the Saudi League other than the fact I don't watch it. But it'd be interesting if we could get him on loan for 6 months. That'd be. Temba, are you opposed to that for 6 months? So I remember when we're having these discussions in the summer. And famously, Tuchel said no to Todd Boehly about bringing in Ronaldo. But a loan kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I don't think Ronaldo would be interested in joining unless there's a Champions League or some sort of European football to play for. I think what would it be really his ambitions to come back here to win nothing? That's
the Carabao Cup. Put some respect on the Carabao Cup, Temba.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just can't see it happening. I would love that to be the case, but like Charlie said, I think it's more of a thing of where do the owners want to see us at the end of the season. Of course, they want to see us in position as high as possible, but what's realistically possible. And if they're going to stick with Pochettino, what targets are they setting him to finish towards the end of the season? Because that may align with who we bring in January, sort of thing. So I don't know. I've seen we've been linked with Benjamin Sesko, a young Leipzig striker.
Yeah, Leipzig.
But
Yeah,
again, he's
it's
not
another
really.
young striker. It's another
Yeah, and
young striker.
he's not really played as well as of recently. So how does he translate to this league? Bundesliga and Premier League are completely two different leagues. And if he's not playing for Leipzig, is he really going to translate well to Chelsea? We've seen, a few German players come over here and found it hard to adapt to begin with. Not every player, of course, but the ones that have come to us, Werner, Havertz, very few first games, they found it very difficult. And we spent a season or two trying to figure out where their best positions were. And yeah, I think.
I mean, I would argue, if we're looking at a player that has played in the Premier League before, that isn't particularly playing much for his club, could be available on a 6-month loan, rumoured to be joining Manchester United potentially as well, is Werner. A 6-month loan for Werner, is that a massively terrible idea? Is it? Why is it? Why are you laughing? Because the other option got Jackson going away for a month. His link-up play pretty good. But
We're
that's not.
going backwards.
You
We
say it's
need to.
backwards, but it isn't, because if we just got signing 19-year-old unproven strikers, but if you bring him in loan for 6 months, he's clearly liked by fans as well. I don't think it's a terrible decision. It's not a fantastic decision, but what other options do you have? Do you
It
continue to
wouldn't.
play with Broja, or do you have Nkunku that play, or do you give opportunities to somebody from the academy and just say, "Here you go, try your
No,
best"?
no. And again, this is where the problem lies. I think is that we're very much walking into Manchester United territory where we're writing off a season now, and then we're looking ahead too early to next season. And then if it all goes wrong again, we're going to have to write off again. I
Yeah.
suppose that's the problem. Is we have to think positively as a football club. This is one thing that I've said. We have to believe at least that we can get top 8. Stop being
And
negative about it.
realistically, we
We
can. We're only
can,
3 points
yeah,
off it.
easily,
Who'd have
easily.
thought
Everyone
it?
else is so inconsistent in this league. We can do it, but we have to believe that we can do it, and the club has to believe that we can do it. Players have to believe they can do it, and maybe a loan player isn't the worst option just to get us over the line. Just to get. I mean, it has worked in the past. These sort of players, Higuain, for example, it sort of works for that short period, and then we can go into the summer and reevaluate. But we have to push it a bit and drive it a bit. You can't just go, like we're 10th now, so that's it. We're not going to win the league, so what's the point? If we can get to sort of, if we can win another couple of games, we might be looking quite good. We're not doing that bad, believe it or not, on the points, and we can just scrape through this season and put ourselves in a good position for next season.
I mean, Temo, it was interesting if we can try and bring it, but I want to. There's a question I wanted to ask you specifically in terms of Chelsea's issues when controlling games and Pochettino's kind of tactic side of things. Are we seeing elements? Because I feel like we controlled the game very, very well against Crystal Palace. The goal that they scored was very much against the runner play at the back of the post, where Michael Olise had lazy defending on the part. I think it was Levi Cole and Caicedo kind of trapped that very sluggishly back to try and get back to stop that goal. But are you seeing elements of a Pochettino kind of style of play? Because it seems like we play somewhat better at home than we do away. And last season it was the other way around.
Yeah, it's still a little bit strange. I'm not quite sure where to put my finger on it, but a lot of our midfield possession seems really terrible and awful. I don't know if that's a thing of maybe playing Gallagher in the pivot, because often, more than not, he doesn't want the ball to feet. You notice he actually kind of moves away from that midfield, so a lot of the times it's usually Caicedo by himself, and I'm not sure that's a clever idea, because you'll see Caicedo maybe try play a pass or something. There's no midfield partners next to him, and he'll often sometimes lose the ball and make these silly fouls where he'll lunge in a bit later than he actually needs to get there. And like you say, the tempo of the game, sometimes we don't know how to slow a game down. We don't know how to just keep calm possession, and when to speed it up and slow it down. And to be honest, that is the hallmarks of a young team. We are inexperienced in that sense, but I don't think the manager sets us up right to get the best out of the team. I think you need to deploy Enzo next to Caicedo. Play like when Enzo came on against Luton. I don't know if you guys saw, he was playing on the left wing, and I didn't
Yeah,
quite
it was
understand
bizarre.
that. Yeah,
And do you think he was kind of forced into it though, just given
no,
the level of depth that we have?
no. Again, I think that's a manager's choice. It's because we've seen this earlier on in the season against Villa. I think he deployed Enzo at the 10 or on the right of a 10 as well. Um,
Mm.
there was another game I can't remember where Enzo was playing high up in the pitch, and I was thinking, well, he was receiving the ball back to goal sort of thing, and we seen even last season under Potter where we thought we were awful. Enzo's best games came when he was receiving the ball from deep. You remember that pass he did to João Felix. Um,
Mm.
Even against Liverpool where he was playing sort of as a pivot, and he controlled that game, to be honest. And I think when you have a player like that who can sort of dictate the game, you want to play them in their best position. It's sort of like if we in the team of where Fabregas was, if we played him as a false nine or something, when we
Yeah.
kind of needed him to control the game. So I think the manager's tactics definitely don't help. I don't think we have um, any tactical training, especially when it comes to playing out from the back. We often don't look like we know what we're doing. Players are a bit all over the place. Sometimes I see players on the left, on the right, players picking up the ball from odd positions, and I think that's maybe his sort of way of tactics of trying to confuse the opponent, where players are interchangeable, but sometimes you need like set positions of play. Triangle passes are like, as
Mm.
people like to say, you don't see a system of like Colwill to Caicedo to Thiago Silva, then Thiago Silva quickly releases a ball to Gusto on the wing, and then
Yeah.
it's combination
We have,
play, simple
yeah, we
combination.
haven't seen that. We haven't seen that since Tuchel, because I was listening to a podcast earlier with Jonathan Wilson, who wrote the pyramid, the football pyramid, or the inverting the pyramid. That's it. And he talks about
Hmm.
how the emergence of like the WM formation, especially at the back,
Yeah,
you have like three at the back with W and then two in the middle, and that's kind of the most effective way to counter a counter attack and to pass out, because you're
yeah.
creating essentially two passing triangles for you to go in either direction. And we
Hmm.
haven't seen that really, because that was very prominent under Thomas Tuchel, because we were able to play out from the back. He shored us up very much. We had the same issues of putting the ball in the net, but we were able to competently play the ball out of the back. And it's kind of bizarre that we haven't been able to kind of get that sorted, especially spending £200 million plus on two players specifically designed to play next to each other, and it's not kind of cooking for them at the moment. And we should see really how that gets on really as we go, as they learn more about how they play with one another. And Enzo playing games, I don't think he's played over 100 games yet, in terms of like first team football. I think he's roughly in and around that, so it'd be interesting to see how they merge over time. Sorry, Tim, you want to say?
No. I was just going to add to your point as well. With I saw the Julian Lorenz comments from when Pochettino was at PSG, and a lot of it is earmarks what we're seeing now, where he said, the players look tactically confused. They don't often do a lot of tactical training in
Hmm.
preparation for game setups, and I think we kind of see it now as well, where some of our players look a bit perplexed, and when we're especially pressing patterns. How many times do
Hmm.
you see Jackson run or Cole Palmer run or Gallagher run? It's a lot of individual running. It's not tactically set up to trap the
Yeah.
opponent to win the ball back. It's just sort of like free running at Power League or something you do. You just run at a player and try scare him off the ball. It's not it it doesn't look like it's a systematic thing. So I'm just more and more concerned every single game as we go by of how well we are drilled tactically, because at the end of the day, to get high in those higher up positions, that's what your manager needs to be doing.
Yeah.
We've seen managers like Unai Emery, and look how far he's taken Aston Villa.
Hmm.
It's not because their quality of player is better than ours; it's because they're tactically well drilled.
Yeah. Unai in. That's what I say. No, I'm joking.
Mhm.
We've got a lot to talk about really in terms of the transfer window is now open, and we're seeing the rumor mill flying. Chelsea are linked to Jean-Claire Todibo from Nice, formerly of Barcelona. And when you bring up the stats around for Jean-Claire Todibo, just I don't know too much about him other than the fact that for the last 2 years in a row, I've bought him on Football Manager. So he's got to be great because he develops really well on Football Manager for me. So clearly he's a fantastic player. I know how Charlie feels about that respect. But if we bring up the information on him here, so if I bring up this screen, so we're looking at FootMob here to get an idea of who he is as a player and see what we can. It's the first time we've done something along these lines, but he's also rumored to be going towards Spurs as well. So that's another option that's on the market here. Market value here, 40 million euros, which conveniently is what we're looking to sell Conor Gallagher potentially to Tottenham, even though contract talks are ongoing. But we'll talk about this for now before we move on to Conor Gallagher. But averaging, quite a high, strong rating in Ligue 1. I don't know what you can add to this, really. Pretty consistent, pretty solid consistently. I mean, one of them is against Gibraltar in a 14-0 win, so I don't know how much you can really read into that. But again, I don't know much about him. I don't know if you know anything about him, Temba, like what type of player he is. The only thing I know is he used to be at Barcelona and had a period at Benfica for a little bit as well.
Yeah, he's your modern type of centre back, very quick, aggressive, good on the ball. I haven't watched too much of him. I've only watched highlight reels, but apparently he's meant to be a very good centre back, a very good ball player at the back. So again, can we get him? I don't know, because aren't Nice owned by Radcliffe as well?
Ineos. They're owned by Ineos, yeah. So if he's going to sell to somebody, he's probably going to try and sell to Manchester United, who famously have issues at centre back position.
Yeah. So that's the other issue we run into. I think Man United are probably in pole position to get him, but if we can, what does that mean for Silva? I know earlier on in the season it was mentioned that Silva may not sign a new contract, or may not be offered a new contract. Sorry, towards the end of the season. So we still have Fofana to come back.
We're overstocked. We're overstocked when you think about it. I don't understand why we need another centre back. If he's a fully out and right placement for Thiago Silva, put the offer in and say join in the summer, like we did with Gusto last year. Like if we're going to do that, because then that sends sends a notification to Silva, just so we're not going to have to renew your contract, even though he's been an absolutely phenomenal player for Chelsea for the last 3 seasons. But we don't need it. You got Badiashile there. You got Disasi. I mean, Disasi, I'm not too convinced by, but you got Badiashile when I've seen him.
Still got Colwell to come in. He's playing out of position.
You got Colwell in that position. You've got so many centre backs.
So many.
Fofana,
You've still got Trevor Chalobah's still there. There's so many.
I think Trevor Chalobah is still there, but I don't think Trevor Chalobah is going to be here come the end of this transfer window, if I'm completely honest.
No, but he's still there. But this is what I mean. We're so overstocked in certain departments, and we keep buying just sort of, I wouldn't say average players. We keep buying sort of players. Even this guy, like 40 million quid. He's probably all right. Another developing player. We haven't got time to develop players. I'm sorry. The time is now. It's not. It's not a. We 2 years of not getting into Europe for this football club of this size is just not acceptable at the way that we are. And I've been I started supporting Chelsea when Glenn Hoddle was the manager. I've seen it all. But the way that we are now, it's not acceptable to keep doing this time and time again, because it will bite us in the bum later down the line, and we keep buying this rubbish. It just annoys me to hell. The
problem we have is, whilst I agree with you, we're massively overstocked in that position. We've got Colwell that's wanting to play as a centre back. He's kind of forced out wide on the left, and I think he's kind of wasted in that position, if I'm completely honest. I don't think we've seen the best of Levi Colwell until he moves across into a centre-back position. We're overstocked there, but I think the problem that you have with that, Charlie, and I'll put this to you, Temba, is that it doesn't kind of fit the mould of Clearlake and what they want. The whole thing that they did when they signed is they want to bring the wage structure down. And the problem that you have, if you want to go and sign a world-class, ready-to-go centre back. Say you went in for who's a world class centre back, Eder Militao. Like if you wanted to go for him, albeit if he's not injured, you're looking at playing over the odds for this player to want to try and even leave a big club like Real Madrid, become a world class centre back at Chelsea. What you're going to pay astronomical wages for him. You're going to pay sterling wages for him, aren't you? That's the issue that you have, and I think is Todobo kind of like a happy stance, like in the somewhere in the middle where you think, okay, he could potentially go on to be, a world class player.
See, I would agree with that, but we need more seasoned players in terms of
But he isn't. He's 24.
Well, I think Premier League players, seasoned players, to help just someone settle in. I think what we've had an issue this season is a lot of players who are used to playing in different leagues who've not even played a lot of senior football, and haven't really won anything. That's the other issue. So again, if you bringing him into this mess, does he just sort of fall down and look like another player? However, having said that, is it more of a manager problem? If you get rid of the manager, does everything start to click all of a sudden, and all these players start to look good? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know.
I mean,
I'd like to throw that to you guys.
I happily answer that question. I know I've said this before, but you can't keep changing the manager. But you literally can't keep changing the manager.
Yeah,
You've done wholesale changes in the last 2 years. We've done wholesale changes, top to bottom, down to the ground staff. Do you know what I mean? Down to the medical staff. Wholesale changes, and just consistently changing the manager is just not going to give an air of consistency for the players as well. Like, do I think Pochettino's the man? No, but could he be? Yes. I think it's this thing. Like after the Wolves game, I was very annoyed watching that game, and I was like, "Well, Pochettino just has to go because it's not working." But we cannot keep changing the manager. We just can't. Otherwise, they're just going to have the same issues. One manager's going to come into the shoes of a team put together by 4 different managers, and they've got those players that need to use. They've got all these players on 9-year contracts that they can't do anymore. They've got no impetus to kind of play for another contract with. Like that. Realistically, who can you bring in? Like, if you wanted to get rid of Pochettino now, Timber, who would you bring in? I know, Charlie, you're vehemently can't keep changing it. I'll come back to you on this one, but realistically, who could you bring in to replace Pochettino now? Do you think is going to cause a stir, get us up, have us finish 6th, 5th?
That's the question. That's the good question.
Exactly.
But can you just let your standards drop? That's the other question, because we do know that a short-term manager impact can happen, and I think this club definitely needs to climb up the table. And do I think Pochettino can get us there? No. So, however, I do agree with you. I do agree with you because you can't keep changing managers, but the standard of managers we've had hasn't been good. I mean, Potter, Lampard, Pochettino himself, they're not exactly the best examples of good managers. I mean, look at Aston Villa. I'll keep using them as an example. Even Newcastle, although they're doing terribly, they've had injury crisis. I don't think they should be where they deserve to be. Even West Ham, they were in relegation battle. Newcastle were relegation battle. Villa relegation battle. Changed their managers. Everything completely changed. And I think, however, ours is unique because, like you say, we've changed our entire playing squad. So we don't know how a new manager would fare with this set of players, because what we saw last season was a different set of players. So, like I say, I think in a game of football, you need your manager to get the most out of your players, and I don't think Pochettino is anywhere near exploiting that. And I'm not 100% sure if it's all of his fault, because I don't think it is. However, do I think given the tools, will he get the best out of this playing squad? No, I still don't think that. And that's an issue.
I think, Charlie, you probably agree with me in this. I think I'd like to see a manager get 2 transfer windows before we get rid of him in the nicest way.
It doesn't matter. The transfer windows are irrelevant. It's not even his.
It does, because it's not an area of consistency, is it? If you constantly got players thinking that, they're just going to, it doesn't matter how well we play, we'll just, the new manager will come in and I'll just get picked by that manager instead. New manager come in and just get picked by that manager instead.
Right, but Pochettino's straight away made Conor Gallagher his boy, and then in
Mm.
January we're rumoured to be flogging him. So he doesn't have it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant who
Mm.
the manager is. It's who the owners are, and it's
But
their it's the
is
way
that
that they.
FFP driving that though? Is
I
he the
think
most?
so.
I think is it FFP driving that? The fact that we've overspent Clearlake of done the issue here, and they think, well, we've got to try and get rid of somebody. Can't get rid of Reece James because he's on a big money deal and he can't keep fit. Um, can't get rid of the only other player realistic we can probably get money for is Ian Maatsen in the window, rumored to be joining Borussia Dortmund for on loan with a mandatory buy of 30 million euros or something. Um, it
I
I
mean,
don't
it's a
know.
mess of a
FFP is
situation,
confusing.
isn't it? It really is. It's a mess. When you actually look at it, it's a real mess of a situation because every time that we try and do something, we have to
Mm,
sell our best players in order to keep the ship running. I mean, it's a mess from
yeah.
top to bottom. And that's not me being dramatic about it, but even if we were in the Champions League places, we probably still have to sell Gallagher. I mean,
Mm.
we're kind of who's a potential next captain,
But
and
would we? Because
Pochettino.
wouldn't we get the money from Champions League because of it? So
Well, exactly.
would that not
This is what I
increase their
mean.
inbound?
So we're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't. So
Yeah.
it's this. It's just such a complete mess. But in terms of management, it's not about do you believe Pochettino is going to win anything. Can Pochettino scrape Europe this season? That's basically what we're looking at, right? And
Yes.
I think he's probably got the best chance out of anyone to do that at this present time. In the summer, we can see what he does. We can see where we are. But at this
Mm.
moment in time, can he scrape it somehow? Probably, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I
kind
think yeah.
of what we're talking, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could talk to the cows come home about this situation, but we try and keep this to an hour where possible. Let's have a look. So Conor Gallagher contract talks are ongoing at the moment. Conor Gallagher is advised, apparently, people close to Conor Gallagher saying that any person that bids for him, he's not willing to leave Chelsea at this time. He wants a contract. It's clear that he wants to stay. It's clearly doing the things the right way, unlike other people that used to play for Chelsea, who are now sat on the bench at Manchester United. Let's have a look here. Chelsea incomings. Andre Santos's loan has been terminated by Nottingham Forest, so he's returning to the club. I suppose that's another option, isn't it, Timber, for somebody to play in central midfield? Andre Santos is a very forward-thinking kind of midfielder. We're giving these younger players a go in the squad, as it were. It adds more depth. I mean, he absolutely blitzed the under 20 World Cup in the summer. He was like player of the tournament, top scorer.
Yeah.
Um, could that be kind of like a silver line, as it were? Forest are losing, I think, 8 players to AFCON and Asian Cup, and they're losing players, and it's just kind of Chelsea's gain. Is he just really? He's there to fill numbers, essentially, but he's a strong he's a strong kind of depth option on the bench for Pochettino, I feel.
Uh, yeah, I mean, if he can't get a good loan for the second half of the season, I think it might benefit him to just be around in and around the squad. Um, if we get into the FA Cup's later stages, hopefully we beat Preston. Does he get a few more game minutes in sort of those cup games? Hopefully so. Like you say, I think in midfield, Enzo's been injured a few times. Caicedo obviously won't play every game. We've still got Ugochukwu there, so he could sort of be that fourth midfield choice option
Yeah.
if needed, along with Gallagher. Um, However, I think the best thing for him is probably to go on loan. And I think I just want to touch on Gallagher uh, contract talks. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's down to Pochettino has much of a say? And
Well, he says he
how much?
does, doesn't he? I think he's supposed to in this window. He's got much of a say. Like he wants to use it, but I think I'd speak for. I can't say I speak for everybody, but I think I speak for the majority of Chelsea fans as they want Gallagher to stay. Um, it kind of it smells a little bit like the Mason Mount situation. I think that fans would want him to stay, doesn't it, Charlie? I mean, you're rolling your eyes a little bit there, but do you think if we can get 40 million to sell him to not Spurs, ideally, you don't want to sell him to a rival, do you?
I
Yeah, I
think
was
why
listening
would
to.
that?
Yeah, I was listening to someone the other day. I can't remember who it was, and he was saying it's the funniest situation because even if we do sell him and we get 40, 50 million, 60 million quid for him, every Chelsea fan understands why we had to sell him and what the reasoning was. And yet he's our best player. I mean, what on earth is going on? I mean, and yet we as fans have seem to have absolutely no balls in our sack left to blame these guys above. I don't understand it. You know, Man United fans have, you know, invading the pitch and all this sort of stuff. Liverpool fans, when their ticket price goes up 50 quid, they have a protest. And Chelsea,
Yeah,
all we do is just laugh about it. And we're
yeah,
10th. We've been 10th in the league 2 years running, and we've got
yeah,
and literally our best player at the moment. We're having to sell, not because we need the money, because we have to repair crap decisions that the owners have made in the past. It's
yeah,
just it's a sham, and people just seem to don't you know. And Pochettino's put every word, and people don't realise this is another thing, right? If Gallagher goes, Pochettino will go with him. I guarantee. I think that will be a huge a statement. You know, what a rubbish that he's walked into. You know.
yeah. It doesn't exactly build confidence, Timber, in the players. Really, if you think about it this way, if Gallagher is sold this transfer window, and Pochettino's playing him pretty much in every single game, you know, the players will see clearly there's no real power with Pochettino. Does that not undermine him?
Yeah, that's sort of what I was getting at. Like when you have a manager and board who completely disagree on a player at the moment who's very subjective. I think some people think Gallagher's a reason why we're being held back. You know, you can get a League Two player or something who can run around and do all this. As they say, he's not a very good technical player, but the fact is he's been our best player, whether people like that or not. He is our best player, and I think a lot of people don't know the intangibles, things he brings off the field, around the training ground, who he knows, the club
Mm.
he's boyhood. And I know people say, oh, that thing doesn't really matter, but you won't know unless you're really in the football club. And a lot of players who've played the game say the exact same thing. There are
Southgate.
players who do a lot of things off the field. Like we've seen with John
Mm.
Terry, he didn't have to play a minute in the 2017 season, but I think it was Gary Cahill who praised him massively about his off-field contributions, just being there as a captain, to give team talks and little things. Him just being around the club helps, and it gives these players a boost. And although I don't think he should be a crucial player, he should be part of the squad. I think it's good to have academy players around the team, and I know that Cobham is set up to be a cash cow sort of thing where we sign expensive players and sell players on come through the system. But there has to be an exception of a few players you keep around. Reece James is always injured. He's on hefty
Mm.
wages as well. He's
Mm.
probably one you probably do look to ship on because he's not playing. He's not really a promotable asset for the team if he's not getting any game time or anything. Chilwell's another. Or he's not, although he's not an academy player, but he's on hefty wages.
Yeah.
200K a week. Another one constantly injured. Yeah, so like you say, those are the players you should really look into be offloading because they're not helping you in any sort of way. They're just picking up a pay packet in the hospital. Um, but in terms of Gallagher, I think, yeah, I think that he probably brings more intangibles than most of the fans will actually know. And I think that's a reason why he should stick around. And it will be a big shame if the owners went against the manager's sort of wishes. And I think it starts the spell of the end when owners
Mm.
start to do that and the manager completely disagrees.
And
Yeah.
another thing on that, Silva and him are probably the only two players on the pitch who have that ability, and we're going to lose both of them probably in the next 6 months, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
We lost Kovacic, we lost Mount,
Jorginho.
maybe not Mount as much, but Jorginho, Rudiger, Alonso, big hitters, big hitters in the dressing room, I would argue. Um, Giroud, these sort of guys, and it's very dangerous what they're doing. I think
Mm.
with Gallagher, I think Gallagher has to stay.
Yeah. I'd take Olivier Giroud back at Chelsea in an instant. Let's. I want to go. We've got 10 minutes or so left. Let's quickly round this up. It's not really worth doing a preview just yet on the semi-final versus Middlesbrough, or even just the third round against Preston. Quickly, I think we're going to win against Preston. I don't think there's going to be any upsets there. I think it'd be workmanlike kind of performance. Yeah, I'm going to say you're right. I don't think we've got anything to worry about. I really
It's the
don't.
FA Cup, mate. It's the FA Cup. You never know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I don't. Whatever. I'll eat my hat if we lose that game. Let's move on. We're going to look at mid-season review on this scenario. So we look at the squad here. We are bloated again. I never thought we'd get to this position, but we are bloated once again at Chelsea Football Club in terms of players, and it always feels like nobody is ever fit. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a game of keep, loan, or sell. Just give me. We're going to go through the squad list. Some of them are going to be pretty easy to do, and it's obvious. But then we might disagree on some points, and then we can discuss it based on that. So we look through here. We'll go every single time. We'll start with Charlie, and then Temba, and then me. So Charlie, Robert Sanchez, keep, loan, or sell?
So,
Keep.
Temba, me. I'm going to say
you mean
keep
that
here.
in this window, or
Just in terms of based on performance in the last 6 months.
okay, keep.
Yeah. Keep. I'd say keep. I think he's probably going to end up being number 2 if Petrovic keeps his playing up. Similar to what you said, Charlie. Axel Disasi, keep, loan, or sell?
Keep.
If we can get a better centre back, sell.
Yeah, I'm on that adage as well. I've not been blown away by Axel Disasi, and I'm on the side I think sell and potentially get somebody different in. Mark Cucurella, Charlie's favourite player this season.
Keep. Give
Keep,
him a new
loan, or sell?
contract. Make him captain. No, I like him. Keep.
I don't need to keep saying your name, Tem.
Keep.
Yeah, I say keep as well. Benoit Badiashile, keep, loan, or sell?
Keep.
Keep.
I think if we can bring a player in, I think I'd argue we probably give him a loan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's very good. Very good.
Yeah.
I
same.
personally,
From what I've seen.
me too. I think he's very good. I think he needs to play consistently. But the problem is Axel Disasi is constantly giving the nod over him, and we're not seeing Badiashile over Silva. So I think it'd be better to get him on loan. That's my rationale behind it. Thiago Silva, keep, loan, or sell?
Keep.
I'm selling, really.
He'll make the decision for us, I think.
Yeah,
So
he'll
keep.
make that decision, I think. Interesting one. Raheem Sterling off the boil during the festive period, but he's Chelsea's top scorer in the last 12 months.
Keep. Yeah.
Temba.
I don't know. I think in the summer I would look to sell him.
Look to sell him. Okay, you thinking try and get some
If we
Saudi
bought
money?
in another experienced winger.
Yeah, I think that's the issue that I have. Is I'd argue keep just purely down on the basis we do not have any other experience really. If Thiago Silva goes, the old man Raheem Sterling, which is incredible. Enzo Fernandez, keep, loan, sell?
Keep.
Yeah, regrettably keep.
Why regrettably?
I just don't think he's worth what we pay for him.
Take the money paid aside from it. You need to make a decision based on the money paid. So put that aside and go keep, loan, or sell based on performance.
Keep for now, but I just haven't seen anything that's worth 100 million, and he's had lots of time now, and he needs to start putting in some performances. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I'll say keep. Mikhailo Mudryk, interesting one on this one.
Loan.
Charlie?
Loan.
Temba?
I think there's still a player to come out of the second half of the season. He's starting to get his groove, so keep.
I'm going to say keep. I would have said loan about 2 months ago. But I think I agree with Temba, seeing elements of a player that's beginning to form. And, you never know, he could become that dominant figure on the left side. Noni Madueke, interesting one here. Keep, loan, or sell?
Loan. Needs a loan.
Yeah, possibly a loan. Possibly. But I would keep him for now.
I'd argue keep him, but I think he deserves to play more than what he's playing. I think the problem we have with it is because we're so bloated in that area, As soon as you have a below average performance, you get taken out of the side and they're just
Yeah,
replaced.
yeah.
I think he needs a consistent run. Same for Mudryk. They need consistent runs. It'll be interesting to see if Sterling's going to be relegated to not being first choice. It'd be interesting to see how we can do, even if we played against Preston on the weekend with Madueke, Cole Palmer in the middle. If we're playing Cole Palmer, Mudryk, and then up top having Nkunku, because I think it'd be quite a good fit to have Nkunku in the number 9 position if that's what he's going to play over the next month over Armando Broja. Bettinelli, it doesn't matter in that scenario. Trevor Chalobah, I think this is an easy one.
So
Yeah, so
Sell, and it's no way in part due to his performances across as a Chelsea player in the last few seasons. I think it's just he's not getting ahead of anybody that we've invested the money in, unfortunately. Nicholas Jackson, divisive. Keep, loan, or sell.
So I'm afraid. Seeing enough of him, just doesn't have enough talent, I'm afraid.
keep. I'd like to see another season.
Interesting. I'm going to go with loan. I think he could be benefit at playing consistently at a club where there's less pressure on him.
Consistency.
I think he would benefit from playing with a club where there is less pressure on him to score goals. I think he is good in terms of linking up play, but in terms of when it comes to as soon as he's got time to think, he can't seem to put the ball in the back of the net. Look at the finish that he had. Was it against Crystal Palace that was disallowed? It was instinctual. Just put his foot on it and it went in. But once he's got time to think about a situation, he's always taking a touch. He's doing too many touches, and I think he just needs to play for a team a little bit low down, build up his confidence, and then hopefully come back. And he's probably not going to be a starter next season if we do get a player. But I'd argue loan. That's the first one we've all disagreed. Leslie Okuchukwu.
Keep.
Yeah, keep squad player for now.
Tremendous. I'm going to go. Keep. I'm going to say.
I don't know though. It's a weird one because I love you. You know.
I would.
Yeah, I know, but you.
It's only apparently it's only a knock. It's a knock. So I'm gonna go keep in that scenario. I think. Yeah, I'll go keep. Carney Chukwuemeka.
Keep.
Okay, 100%.
I can't see where he's going to come in and play, and who's going to drop out, especially in the. If we're playing 4-2-3-1, I think Chukwuemeka would be a player that we're playing in like a 10 position, and I can't see where he's going to get in ahead of Nkunku and Cole Palmer. That's the problem I have. So I'd argue maybe a loan, but I do like Carney Chukwuemeka. Amanda Broja. Sell for me too. Unfortunately,
not good enough.
I would. Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know. He had that injury. I guess he did. Yeah. Okay. Sell.
He's a striker that runs the channels. I think you saw it at Southampton.
Yeah.
He's a player like Shane Long. You know, he might do a bit of hard work running down the wing, holding up the ball a bit, but he's just not good enough.
Okay. Nkunku, I think it's an easy one.
Okay.
Yeah, keep.
Keep. Cole Palmer, another easy one.
Keep.
Loan.
Keep.
Loan to Man
City. Ben Chilwell.
Sell.
Oh, sell.
I'd argue selling as well. Bizarrely, can't stay fit. It's just
high wages.
Things. High wages, can't stay fit.
High transfer fee.
Yeah, I think that might be why. But I think when he is fit, I think he is a good player.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a world-class player, but I think he's a good player. Conor Gallagher, keep, loan, sell.
Okay. We just had a bloody argument. It's obvious.
September's argument.
You were the one you wanted to keep.
I think keep.
Yeah, I'm with keep on that. For now, Reece James.
See, I'm going to be very controversial here.
For now, but I might change my mind if he gets another injury or doesn't recover properly.
Charlie?
I go so. I would rather, if you had to tell me right now, would I rather have Reece James or Conor Gallagher? I'd keep Conor Gallagher. over Reece
which is
James.
weird because
Even though I
when
know
Reece
Reece
James
James
fit,
is a better player.
yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? I would argue, I think you have to keep him purely on the basis he's had the surgeries needed to have for the past 2 years. I want to see how he does. I want to see if he can be that player that he has the potential to do. Moises Caicedo,
Okay, no.
Keep.
for now. Levi Colwill,
Okay.
Oh, possibly
What?
loan. I don't think.
yeah.
Again, he's in a position where there's a lot of centre backs,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure the manager trusts him. I don't know if it's because he's the most versatile player or if he's just not
Probably.
trusted enough at centre back. I'm not sure. That's the issue. Does he want to stay on the bench if we do get a left back or if Chilwell and Cucurella fit?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I don't think he'd go out on loan personally. I think he'd rather we sold him. I
Yeah,
think he just wants to play, which is why he is playing at left back. Where I don't think he actually really wants to play. But you got to take your chances where you can. Look at Aspilicueta when he joined as a right back and played so many games as a left back because that's the only position. So maybe he's a victim of his own versatility. Malagusto,
keep,
Okay.
keep. Petrovic,
Okay.
keep,
Ian Maatsen.
sell.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, unfortunately, regrettably. Yeah.
yeah, I'd say sell regrettably as well. Wesley Fofana.
Oh, possibly sell.
You'd have to keep him for now, wouldn't you? But again, he's another Reece James, very talented player, but
Yeah, all
unfortunately,
depends how he
extremely
comes
injury
back
prone.
on that. Two potentially career-ending injuries he's had in his short tenure as a footballer. So it'd be interesting. I'm going to argue probably sell. I think we should prepare for time with that. David Washington alone
Loan,
for me,
loan.
alone straight away. There's been times when we could bring a striker on, or we need to bring a striker on. He just doesn't bring him on, which is bizarre. So why bother keeping him? Is it simply just to acclimatise him to Chelsea, to London? If that's the case, then you'd play him surely.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not the manager. Alfie Gilchrist, loan,
Yeah,
Yeah, loan.
loan. Romeo Lavia,
Yeah, keep, obviously. Keep. We've barely seen anything of him.
yeah, he'd have to keep. Yeah, for now. Yeah, yeah.
I'd keep. I think from the stuff that we saw from him against Crystal Palace when he came on, I thought he looked all right. He was quite progressive.
Yeah, his ball
You know,
passing was good. Yeah.
his forward passing is good. It's not a Jorginho sideways backwards. He wants to get the ball forward, and I think if you've got Mudryk and players like that potentially making him runs in from behind, I think he's a player that could find them. Bergstrom, yeah,
So we've
these
got
are
too many
easy.
goalkeepers.
Yeah, I guess. So Alex Matos is going on loan, so it doesn't matter. He's on loan
Yeah.
to Huddersfield. Leo Castledine, again, I think he's going to go on
Loan.
loan. He's in the squad.
Loan.
And I think this is an easy one. Malang Sarr, sell.
Is he still around?
He's
Yep.
still around. Yep.
Like,
100K a week.
100K a week.
good. More than I'm making
Sell.
a year. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Incredible. But anyway, we're over that one. It's interesting we go through that, where we are. I think the most divisive one was it. Who was the most divisive one where we all couldn't agree? Was it Jackson?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Jackson, yeah.
Jackson. Yeah, yeah.
Jackson. Oh, old divisive Jackson. But
Mhm.
anyway, what we'll do is we'll meet up again. Is it Tuesday Chelsea play against Middlesbrough?
Middlesbrough Tuesday. Yeah. So we've got Preston Sunday. Is it? I think
Saturday or Sunday.
Preston on
Saturday.
Saturday. So what we'll do, how
Saturday.
about we should probably deal this, but chances are we'll go live maybe on the Tuesday. We
After,
usually do
yeah.
this on
It's the
Mondays.
biggest game of the
We
season for us this year.
We'll do that. We'll go live on Tuesday, 9:30, for Chelsea versus Middlesbrough. I can't remember which way round it is, but this has been the
Yeah,
We Talk
good
Chelsea
as well.
podcast. If you found us this evening, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. We usually do these on Mondays at 9:30. Until then, we'll see you all next week. Up the Chelsea.
At the Chelsea.